You know someone like this. A man with brilliant ideas, grand dreams, a sparkle in his eyes that suggests he was born for something extraordinary. He speaks of incredible projects, lives on the fuel of possibilities, but never brings anything to fruition. There's always an excuse for every failure. The timing was off, the people were wrong, the world hasn't caught up to his vision. Maybe he's a childhood friend, a brother, a lover, a father, someone who, despite his age, remains frozen in time, an adult clinging to the emotional instability of a boy, allergic to commitment, endlessly chasing freedom while fleeing responsibility. Carl Jung called this psychic pattern Puer Aeternus, the eternal boy. It's the archetype of the man who refuses to grow up, who lives in perpetual transition, forever preparing to live but never truly beginning. He captivates with his youthful energy, his creativity, his spontaneity. But beneath the charm lies a shadow, an inability to meet the demands of reality. The Puer expects life to bend to his desires, for others to solve what he refuses to face. He idealizes the perfect woman, the perfect job, the perfect life. When reality falls short of his fantasies, he flees, he abandons, he resets the cycle of unfulfilled promises. He sees himself as too special for the mediocrity of routine, yet in truth, he's paralyzed by fear. Fear of failure, fear of disappointment, fear of stepping into the weight of his own existence. If you've ever tried to help someone like this, you know the exhaustion, the advice ignored, the support wasted, the futility of pulling someone who, deep down, doesn't want to move. And the cruelest twist? He makes you feel guilty, as if you're the problem for wanting him to mature, for refusing to settle for an eternal almost. But here's the truth. This man is trapped in a fantasy of freedom that's really a prison of fear. If he doesn't wake up, he'll grow old without ever having truly lived. This isn't an attack, it's a mirror. And if you're still listening, part of you recognizes this pattern in someone else, or perhaps in yourself. Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." The journey of the Puer doesn't have to end in stagnation, but transformation begins only when we face the truth head-on. The Puer Aeternus isn't just a personality quirk, it's a deep archetype, a psychic force shaping thousands of men, often mistaken for charisma or free-spiritedness. But beneath the surface lies a refusal, an instinctive revolt against growing up. Jung observed this in Patience and Myths, the Puer as the one who refuses to leave the paradise of childhood, the psychic womb where everything is provided, protected, resolved. He lives in the shadow of a glorious tomorrow that never arrives. He is the eternal son of the gods, the chosen one who never takes charge of his own life. You've seen this firsthand. Men who leap from job to job, chasing meaning but fleeing effort, who start projects with passion but abandon them at the first obstacle, who fall in love intensely but vanish when relationships demand depth, who preach spirituality and freedom but can't pay a bill on time. It's not a lack of intelligence or talent. The Puer is often brilliant, sensitive, overflowing with potential. But he lives in the realm of ideas, avoiding the gravity of reality. He wants to fly without building wings, love without commitment, succeed without effort. He craves the rewards of adulthood without paying the price of maturity. And when the world denies him this, he revolts, blaming systems, parents, life itself, but never himself. Jung noted that the Puer suffers a disconnection from time. He exists in a perpetual not yet, waiting for the right idea, the right moment, the right person. He lives in the when, never the now. And so he doesn't live. He survives, nourished by dreams that slowly become burdens. Yet there's another side to this story. The Puer, though immature, carries a vital force, the spark of youth, creative imagination, the power to reinvent. The problem isn't the boy within the man, it's when that boy seizes control of his life. This is where the shadow takes hold. The Puer's magnetic charm, his spontaneity, his poetic speech, masks a darker reality. His freedom is an illusion, a carefully crafted escape from pain, failure, and the passage of time. He avoids decisions, transfers responsibility, and deepens his prison of fear. You've seen it. The man who claims to reject conventional jobs out of principle, yet trembles at the thought of routine. Who says relationships are cages, yet fears true vulnerability. Who rails against rules but cannot navigate limits. Jung called this suspension, a floating between heaven and earth, refusing to descend, to root, to engage with the concrete. But without roots, nothing grows. Without effort, nothing flourishes. Without confronting the shadow, there's no transformation. The Puer's shadow doesn't just sabotage him, it corrodes everyone around him. Partners ache, loving a man who's present in essence but absent in action. Family members grieve wasted potential. Friends tire of supporting someone stuck in a loop of almost. And beneath it all, the Puer remains oblivious, convinced others are the problem, the world too rigid, too boring, too controlling. He isolates, believing he's protecting his essence, when in truth, he's enslaving himself to fear. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, Jung warned, but by refusing to let him rule. The Puer's redemption begins not by killing the boy inside, but by refusing to let him rule. Behind every Puer Aeternus lies a silent force, the archetypal mother, sometimes literal, an overprotective parent who shielded him from failure, sometimes symbolic, a partner, a caregiver, a feminine presence that coddles his avoidance. This mother figure, in Jung's terms, becomes the devouring mother, offering comfort but demanding loyalty, nurturing dependence instead of autonomy. The Puer seeks not a partner but a substitute mother, someone to resolve his voids without asking him to change. This bond is comforting, yet lethal. It keeps him in eternal childhood, waiting for others to solve what he won't face. Breaking free demands rupture. It requires cutting the psychic umbilical cord, enduring the pain of separation. Jung called this individuation, the birth of the true self, a process as bloody and raw as physical birth. It begins when the Puer faces the collapse of his fantasies. Life won't wait. No one's coming to save you. The perfect moment doesn't exist. It's a mourning for the idealized self, the imagined life, the mother comfort he clings to. Maturity isn't betraying your essence, it's building it. It's learning to let the boy exist within the man, not as a ruler, but as a muse. The shadow of the Puer Aeternus is not a curse, but a call, a summons to confront what has been buried. Jung understood this when he wrote, "There is no coming to consciousness without pain." For the man trapped in eternal boyhood, the path to maturity begins not with grand gestures, but with small, relentless acts of courage. It starts when he stops romanticizing potential and begins honoring the present, when he trades the intoxication of what could be for the grounding truth of what is. This is the alchemy of growth, turning the lead of avoidance into the gold of accountability. Consider the man who drifts through life, mistaking motion for progress. He changes cities, careers, partners, always chasing a mirage of fulfillment. But the void follows him because it lives within. Jung called this the flight from the shadow, the desperate attempt to outrun the parts of ourselves we refuse to see. The Puer's greatest fear isn't failure, it's ordinariness, the terror of realizing he might not be the hero of an epic myth, but a man among men, bound by the same laws of effort and consequence. Yet here lies the paradox. Only by surrendering the need to be special can he discover his true power, the The archetypal mother's grip is subtle. She whispers, "You deserve more. This isn't enough. Wait a little longer." She lives in the enabling partner who pays his debts, the friend who excuses his flakiness, the cultural myth that glorifies following your passion without mentioning the grind required to sustain it. Breaking free demands what Jung termed the murder of the mother. Not literal violence, but the symbolic act of severing dependency. It's the moment he stops seeking external saviors and becomes his own anchor. This is the initiation into adulthood, realizing no one is coming to fix your life, and that true freedom is born from self-reliance. Imagine the Puer at this threshold. He's tired. The weight of unmet potential has become a boulder on his chest. The relationships he's abandoned, the projects half-finished, the years spent waiting for a sign, all coalesce into a single truth. He is the problem, and he is the solution. This reckoning is brutal, but necessary. Jung observed, "What you resist persists, what you look at disappears." By facing his avoidance, the Puer begins to dissolve it. He learns to tolerate the discomfort of routine, the vulnerability of commitment, the humility of starting small. He discovers that discipline isn't the enemy of creativity. It's the forge where raw talent becomes lasting legacy. The integrated Puer is a force. He retains his spark, the curiosity, the vision, but channels it through structure. He understands that dreams without deadlines are hallucinations, that love without sacrifice is fantasy, that a life lived solely in the mind is a life half-lived. He stops seeking perfect conditions and starts building with what's before him. This is the essence of Jung's individuation, the lifelong process of becoming whole by embracing every disowned part of the self. The eternal boy doesn't die. He evolves. His creativity matures into craftsmanship. His spontaneity becomes presence. His fear of confinement transforms into the courage to choose, again and again, the commitments that matter. Yet this transformation demands allies. The Puer needs those who will love him enough to stop rescuing him, partners who set boundaries, friends who speak hard truths, mentors who model rootedness. It requires a shift from seeking mothers to finding mirrors. As Jung warned, the most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. For the Puer, this means staring into the reflection of his own avoidance and choosing, day by day, to stay in the room when every cell screams run. There's a haunting beauty in this struggle. The man who once fled from responsibility now learns to kneel in the soil of the ordinary. He plants seeds he may never see bloom. He loves knowing hearts can break. He works even when inspiration hides. With time, he discovers an unexpected truth. The constraints he feared, routine, deadlines, vows, are the very things that set him free. They become the trellis for his growth, the boundaries that give form to his chaos. What he once dismissed as mediocrity reveals itself as the sacred ground where real life unfolds. This is the rebirth. The Puer Aeternus, once a prisoner of potential, becomes a man of depth. His earlier flights from reality now inform his resilience. He knows the cost of avoidance, and he refuses to pay it again. His relationships deepen because he stops demanding others fill his voids. His work gains meaning because he's finally willing to bleed for it. Even his failures become teachers because he's no longer too fragile to face them. Jung captured this metamorphosis. I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become. If you see yourself here, if these words pierce the armor of someday, and if only, know this: your awakening need not be dramatic. Start where you are. Pay the bill you've ignored. Finish the project you abandoned. Show up today for someone you love. Each act of responsibility is a brick in the foundation of your maturity. The boy inside you isn't the enemy, he's the muse. Let him whisper ideas, but let the man decide which to pursue. The world needs your gifts, not as fleeting sparks, but as lasting flames. It's time to stop orbiting life and land in it, to trade the addiction to possibility for the dignity of presence. As Jung reminds us, the pendulum of the mind alternates between sense and nonsense, not between right and wrong. Your task isn't to be perfect, it's to be present, to build, to choose, to stay. This is your invitation. Not to kill the eternal boy, but to knight him, to let his energy infuse your resolve rather than undermine it. The path is hard, but the alternative is harder. A life of ghosts, of might-have-beens, of endless tomorrows that never come. You owe yourself more than that. You owe the world your realized self. The boy dreamed. The man builds. Which will you honor?